Welcome back to a Monday edition of the Prop Shop Live. I'm your host, Bobby Stanley, also known as PropHolliday on social media. We're rocking with the Gold Boys. The Super Bowl and the NFL season is over. The Eagles smoke the Chiefs 40-22. The Chiefs did not score their first touchdown until 34 seconds left in the third quarter. Don't let those 22 points fool you. It was bad, man. Jalen Hurts is your Super Bowl MVP. Went 17-22 passing, 221 yards, two touchdowns, one interception, 72 rushes, and the first touchdown of the game with the tush push. Um, it sucked. The game sucked. The game sucked for betting. If you're an Eagles fan, it was an awesome game. If you faded the hell out of the Chiefs, it was an awesome game. If you bet on the Eagles, it was an awesome game because it was a sweat-free bet. Anyone like myself who bets player props and thought the game was going to be competitive, it wasn't even competitive. Sirianni dropped a post-game presser nugget that the Chiefs completely sold out to stop the run, and it worked. Barkley held out of the end zone entirely. So those of us who bet the plus 100 odds boost on Bet365, we got smoked. Barkley didn't even see the end zone on his birthday in the Super Bowl. He went 25 carries, 57 yards, 2.3 yards per carry, but he did have 5 receptions, which is something I was trying to hammer 2 games ago in the playoffs and didn't get to. But he played the decoy role very well. I give my flowers to Jalen Hurts. He's deserving of this, deserving of the MVP award. The moment wasn't too big for him 2 Super Bowls ago. So that was never the case. I was never concerned about that. He made beautiful throws. The pass to Devontae Smith in the first quarter, fourth down. He a beautiful ball to AJ Brown that they ended up overturning with offensive pass interference. Yes, that was a bad call, but it had no impact on the game whatsoever, thankfully. But Jalen Hurts did. He made plays with his legs. He never looked uncomfortable. He took what they gave him. He deserves every bit of this award. The story of the game, in my personal opinion, was the Eagles' defense, particularly the front seven and Vic Fangio, the defensive coordinator. 6 sacks, didn't blitz once. You're going to see that brought up a ton. It's a big deal. Of the quarterbacks who were never blitzed in the Super Bowl, I think I saw a stat, they're 0-5, so could be on to something. Mahomes looked uncomfortable the entire game. It was arguably his worst game ever. Regular season, preseason, postseason, the worst game of his career. It looked like, and I think the stats told us that there were errant passes, there were bad drops. Nuke Hopkins had a hideous drop in the first half that would have been a massive gain, 30, 40-yard gain, wouldn't have made a difference, but it would have been nice to see the Chiefs offense with life. We never got that. It never really mattered. The Eagles never trailed at any point in the game. They didn't look uncomfortable. So I don't want to make this about Mahomes. I want to keep this about the Eagles. A lot of people are doing the Mahomes thing today. What is it about his legacy? No, he's not the GOAT. No, he wasn't the GOAT. He was never going to be the GOAT because he got a three-peat. He's still far away from Tom Brady, and Tom Brady owns the head-to-head, won the AFC Championship game, won in the Super Bowl. He's not beating him. What he could have been able to do, picking up a three-peat, and then could he get to 8 Super Bowls in the course of his career? It's absurd to even say, but this would have been something that he did that Brady didn't do. Well, doesn't matter now. What does it change for him? Because we have to do this shit on Monday after the Super Bowl. What does this change about the overall quarterback structure and greatest of all time? I still think Patrick Mahomes is the second greatest quarterback of all time. Win or lose in this Super Bowl. He had a bad game. He looked like shit. The defense, Vic Fangio completely schemed this up against him and did a phenomenal job. The front four of the Eagles are, it just shows you that that O line and D line at the end of the day will always matter in football, whether it gives you a run game, a passing game, disrupting the passing game. If you don't have an offense or defensive line and either isn't in the top 12, you're not winning anything of significance. I did want to look ahead about the Eagles because I don't want to make this about the Chiefs. This should be about the Eagles. I wanted to see, is this going to fall off a cliff anytime soon, or could this be something dynastic? I went to Over the Cap to see about what it's going to look like next season. Is it going to fall off a cliff? No, it's not. Hertz cap number is 27 million. Then it goes to 32 in 2026, 42 in 2027, and they left themselves an out heading into 2028. That's going to be a theme here. What they did with these contracts, they gave themselves void years at the end of the deal. So should things get sour, they're not on the hook for much dead cap. Devonta Smith, good through the end of 2027 on team friendly numbers with an out in 2028. AJ Brown, good through the end of 2026 with a team out heading in 2027. Jordan Mailata, good through 2028. That's the left tackle. That's your offense. As long as Jalen Hurts has Devonta Smith and A.J. Brown and a competent offensive line. There's no reason he can't continue to play like a top 7 quarterback in the league. I feel strongly about that. Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith have another year before you even got to worry about extensions. They can cut Darius Slay this offseason with a dead cap hit at 22 mil. They're not going to do that. Even though he's 34, they'll probably work out some type of extension. Point is, there's a minimum of another year of this level of play and probably 2 years of this level of play, barring major injury on either side. Hat tip goes to Howie Roseman. I'm not taking away from Jalen Hurts. He deserves a Super Bowl MVP. He won the game. He made all the throws he was supposed to. He lived up to the moment, and he got redemption for 2 years ago. You got to love all of that. What won this game for the Philadelphia Eagles was that defense, that front four, and Howie Roseman, how he constructed the most talented team in the NFL. I guess I got to talk about the Super Bowl halftime performance really quickly. We got to stop with the hyperbole shit, guys. It was not the worst Super Bowl halftime performance ever. It was not the best Super Bowl halftime performance ever. It was okay. I don't want to hear about the messaging. I got Uncle Sam right off the get. Samuel L. Jackson in a fucking top hat and Star Spangled Banner. It was very easy to figure out. I'm a hip hop fan. I'm who that performance was for, and I enjoyed it, but I get why people are pissed off. 37% of Americans listen to hip hop music. 56% listen to pop. 49% listen to country. 38% listen to R&B and soul. Point is, you want those pop stars out there because you're going to please more people, and then you get less blowback. I enjoyed it, but it wasn't, as I was told, or so I was told online, it wasn't for me. The term know your audience comes to mind. The best example I can give you is the 2001 Super Bowl halftime performance. It hit everything. You had Aerosmith, NSYNC, Nelly, Mary J. Blige, Britney Spears. Everyone went home happy. That's the recipe. You don't have to overthink this. I do think the problem is some artists just don't want to do it anymore. And if you're Apple TV, you throw a bunch of money at Kendrick and you please a decent amount of people. Probably a big chunk of people that like Apple TV. Time will tell if Travis Kelce decides to hang it up. I have hang it up. There was talk about him retiring. He didn't look himself this year. I think he went into the season out of shape, and he never really played himself in shape. I have a feeling with Andy Reid doing one more go of this and how embarrassing that loss was that he just can't walk away like that. But what the hell do I know? NBA tonight. Luka Doncic, LeBron James make their debut at a ripe 10:40 p.m. Eastern time against the Utah Jazz. They are 12-point favorites. I would actually take the Jazz there just because I think it's going to look a little clunky in the beginning. But let's take a look at some of the games before I get into my two favorite plays tonight. Minnesota plus 9.5 against the Cavs. Cavs at home. Spurs minus 11 against Washington. Hawks and Magic. Hawks are getting 6 against Orlando. I've been burned on Paolo Banchero so goddamn much this season. I can't even touch him anymore. Hornets plus 3.5 against the Brooklyn Nets. Boston giving 6 to Miami Heat. Andrew Wiggins makes his debut, and it's no one's birthday in that game. But Tyler Hero is questionable with an illness. There are 2 birthdays today that have somewhat significance as far as big players. The Thunder are 17-point favorites against the Pelicans. CJ McCollum is out. Don't even touch the game, guys. I had a play in it. I sent it to the producer, Tone, and then I pulled it back because it's a 17-point spread, and I have no clue what to expect. Just stay away from those games. Warriors minus 7 against the Bucks. There's no Giannis. Bobby Portis' birthday today. Totals at 230.5. Probably not going to be much defense in that game. I do have a play in that one. Kings and Mavs. Kings plus 1 against Dallas. Anthony Davis with a strained oblique or a hip abductor. I apologize if I got that wrong. He's going to be out at least a month. You got to feel bad for Dallas. It's really just piling on. You made a bad decision. And even if your bad decision wound up with Anthony Davis playing at a ridiculous level and clicking with Kyrie Irving, they'd still hear shit for it. But at least you could say, hey, we made it to the second round of the playoffs. Hey, we made it to the Western Conference Finals. Now you have to wonder how bad is this? Blazers plus 9.5 against Denver. That game should be pretty easy at a handicap because nobody had a trade there. There's no new players on new teams in that one. And then the Jazz plus 12, Lakers minus 12. Take the Jazz. The Jazz are a well-coached team. The Jazz are a tough out on every night, and I think it's going to look clunky for the Lakers in the beginning. I'll talk about it in one of my plays, but essentially, you're going to have LeBron playing off the ball, which is something he's gotten used to with Austin Reeves. But now you're going to have Austin Reeves, LeBron James, and Luka Doncic all on the court at the same time. Um, I do think Luka's going to be a little bit rusty. I do think it's going to be some defensive stuff. You might see some Rui at a small ball five. They pulled Jackson Hayes off the court. I'm excited to see what it looks like. I'll probably be asleep and catch the first quarter of it, but don't be shocked if it doesn't look as awesome as we expect it to be right out of the gate. And you would think, oh, the Jazz are a layup. They're not. Will Hardy's a damn good coach, and they protect the paint really well. So I would actually take the 12 points there. First play for tonight is actually in that game, and it talks a little bit about what I said before. John Collins, Utah Jazz, over 6.5 rebounds at minus 135. Yes, it comes with some juice, but I really love the number. It's not the player prop you're expecting, but it's still worth a look. Hitting 63% of this game's just right off the bat. Nothing special. 63% he hits this line. 2 of 2 against the Lakers. I mentioned the awkward clunkiness of Luka and LeBron together. They have a team built on size. If you add those two guys, plus a DFS, plus a Rui, I think that means a little bit more minutes for a guy like John Collins who could switch on any of those four players, and he probably needs to. I mentioned the small ball Rui. I think we see him at a center spot at least just for a couple possessions, just to see what it looks like to get Jackson Hayes off the court. So decent minutes for Collins there. I'm expecting a few things offensively that will help Collins. The rusty Luka Doncic, more longer shots, longer rebounds should help a guy like Collins. I do think it's a little far fetched that we would expect someone like Luka to come out shooting 45% from three, 50% from the field. So longer rebounds aplenty. Two is LeBron playing off the ball in a catch and shoot role. Not every possession, but I think we're going to see that. Um, and then him just hanging around the 3-point line should give John Collins freed up a little bit of, should free him up a little bit in the paint to grab some boards. And it's LeBron, if he's out there, it's one less rebounder in the paint. It's a good number. You're paying the premium of 35 cents on the dollar for it. I hate saying this. I think it should be sweat free, but give me John Collins over 6.5 rebounds at minus 135. Before I go into my next play, Bet365, one of our favorite books that burned us on the Saquon Barkley touchdown, giving new users two fantastic offers. Either get a safety net on your first bet up to $1,000, or bet $5 and get 115 bonus bets. It's your call. Click the link in the episode description to pick an offer that's right for you. Must be 21 plus, 18 plus in Kentucky. Gambling problem? Call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. Before I go into my next pick, the one thing I forgot to mention, the Mark Williams trade got declined, got rejected because he could not pass a physical. Jeff Teague and his podcast, I can't think of the name of the podcast. It's a very popular one. He was on this early and he pretty much said 22-year-olds that put up 18 and 10 just don't get given away. Something was wrong there. So Dalton Connect comes back. They keep the first round pick. There's nothing they can do for the rest of the season. They may be able to pick a buyout guy, talking like Mo Bamba, something like that. Would have been nice to have Mark Williams, but if his legs or his knees weren't what they were expecting and it was supposed to be a Luka pick, Luka Doncic made this recommendation. I need a lob guy. Go get me Mark Williams. If you don't have that long-term ability there, it's not worth it. Trade gets nixed. Play number 2 for night. Kyle Kuzma, Milwaukee Bucks Kyle Kuzma, over 7.5 rebounds at minus 115. I'm on this for one unit. No Giannis. Warriors ranked 21st in rebounds allowed. Minutes for Kuzma went from 24 to 36 in the two games as a buck. In that, the potential rebounds went from 9 to 12 in the same span. I liked seeing that. One, I like seeing it goes from 24 to 36. The second one, there was no Giannis. But it tells me that it's a small sample size, but it tells me, okay, he had 9 potentials in 24 minutes. Let's bump that to 36 minutes. Oh, okay, good. It did go to 12. I like seeing that personally. So I'm expecting probably around 11 rebound chances, just saying, assuming he falls underneath that 36-minute number. Say he gets 11 rebound chances, which I feel comfortable with. He's hit this number in 60% of games that he sees a minimum of 11 rebound chances. Had 6 rebounds on 13 rebound chances against the Warrior earlier in the season. What I wanted to see, the volume was there. Again, I don't think there's going to be any defense. Should be a high pace. Give me Kuzma over 7.5 rebounds for one unit. That one's only minus 115. I think his double is like plus 135 to plus 150 if you shop it around. Might be some decent juice there. Bobby Portis' birthday. No Giannis. Bobby Portis' birthday today. Take that for what it's worth. Before we go into my my lottos and long shots, my fun stuff, let's hear a couple words from my boy Brad.
Wait, before we get back to the picks, I wanted to thank you all for watching. Friends don't let friends watch videos without hitting the like button. So go ahead and press the thumbs up button and like the video. If you're new here and not subscribed, you should go ahead and do so because we're dropping new content each and every day on the GoldBoys Network. We strive to cover every sport and give out picks and analysis and valuable information for free on the GoldBoys Network. So make sure you're subscribed and hit the bell so you can get notified when we drop something new. I'm Brad Thomas. Let's get back to the picks.
So I have two, call them fun stuff for you guys today. DraftKings gave us a no sweat bet. Mine is a $25 max. I maxed that out. And then I figured everyone bet every no sweat option they have from yesterday from the Super Bowl. It was the last game of the season. If you're my audience right now, I know you have bonus bets lying around $10 here, $25 there, stuff like that. So I have something for that too. Let's start with the DraftKings no sweat bet. I got plus 1883 for these four legs. Give me Gobert 13 plus rebounds, so one above his standard line. Andrew Wiggins under 15 and a half points at plus 105. Standard line is 16 and a half. I love going under on that. He's going from being the second option that was showcased at the deadline for Golden State to probably a third option behind Tyler Hero. And Bam Adebayo in a I think a slower paced environment, playing off the ball. He's not going to have. He was doing some initiator stuff with the Warriors towards the end. I don't I don't see him in that type of role here. I think he's going to be kind of your top shelf jack of all trades guy, but scoring, I don't know, 15 and a half right out of the gate for him. Keep an eye on Tyler Hero's status. He was sick with an illness, but I hope he plays. Jeremy Sochan, 8+ rebounds. Max Christie, other birthday boy of the day, over 1.5 3-pointers made. So these four legs, 25 pays 495, or we get our $25 back, and we can have some fun with that. If you have a $10 no sweat bet, which I believe you do, from somewhere, I did mine on Bet365. I'm doing a first basket score parlay. I never do these. It's really the definition of a lottery ticket, but it's such a massive board today. I feel like we can find some decent spots there. First one, Wemby over the Wizards. I think he had the first basket in 2 of his last 5, and he's got a great matchup against Rashawn Holmes. So Wemby, excuse me, first basket for score. Second one, Chris Stapps against the Heat. Um, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are both questionable. Both are not available at shoot around. There's no Drew Holiday. I think at least one of the two, unless, I mean, I'll take a really quick look at underdog to see if anything changed. I think at least one of the two will be out tonight for the Celtics, minus Holiday. And Chris Stapps has always been kind of a first quarter guy. So I like him to score the first bucket. And then you got to bet Luka. I bet Luka. I do think Jackson Hayes can win the tip against Walker Kessler. And the place is going to go nuts. They want to see him put up a shot. Can we get to the late game and have a bunch of money on Luka Doncic to score the first basket of that game? And then you get to go to bed. If the game starts at 10:40, you get to go to bed at 10:45. $10 I think pays 1,400. I never do these, but I have no sweat bets galore, so I figured I'd have some fun with one of them. Really quickly, I have some injury updates before we go. Anthony Edwards is a game time decision. These are all live from Underdog NBA. Sorry, I don't want to fill up with dead air. Tyler Hero is out on Monday. I still really like going under on Wiggins. I may get his new number. I want to see what his new number is. I'm probably going to go after it because I don't think he's that guy, pal. I did it against Amen Thompson. What's his point number at now? Andrew Wiggins is at 20. I'm fading him. No, his point total's at under 17 and a half. I'm still playing it. I don't think he's that guy. The Celtics are phenomenal in transition, very good at ISO defense. I'm putting this in as we speak. Andrew Wiggins under 17 and a half points. Got it on DraftKings, but shop it around. Guys, I will see you Thursday. Really hoping for some Luka Doncic, LeBron highlights, a couple lobs, maybe some threes, but I do think he's on a minutes restriction. So if you're using that DraftKings 77% odds boost, temper your expectations a little bit. He's probably going to play 25 minutes, probably stays under 30 if I had to guess, but first quarter is where it's at. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for sticking with me for football season. Sorry the Super Bowl sucked. But if you're an Eagles fan, hat tip to you guys. You're going to be good at least for the next 2 years. We'll see how that goes. I'm going to close on this. Rams gave the Eagles the best game of the season. Take care.